Welcome to the Dark Night Podcast with tap dance artist Andrew Nemr and pastor Mike Freeman, exploring St. John of the Cross's seminal work, The Dark Night of the Soul. Listen to their conversations as Andrew spiritually prepares for his groundbreaking 12-hour overnight performance, Dark Night. Yeah, so we've got chapters 4 through 7.
Yep.
That's what we did.
And yeah, I mean, it's really all of a piece. Those first 7 chapters are all about the purging all of the baser alloys, basically.
There were questions that came up for me with some of the things that St. John was describing, not necessarily, I don't know, it was just like, okay, I understand what he's saying. You have a person who's kind of being run in a certain way by their senses. And then he makes like a call to reason as a balance or kind of better way, which makes me think of the whole like lesser self, higher self, which he also references, and then the senses and the body being in the lower self, and the higher self being the mind or or reason, and that feels more Greek.
It does feel Greek, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely has a Greek feel to it, which. And you can see where that would be feeding off of, like having an angle, like in the Greek quarter, looking at what Paul says about the flesh. Put to death, therefore, your members which are upon this earth. And so I can totally get the divorce between body and soul and spirit, or maybe even spirit and soul and body, if the soul being that kind of animated part of the body, if that's all going to be shed and leaving a pure spirit. So, I mean, I can see how that would feed it, but I think a more holistic and total view of what Paul is saying, offer your bodies as living sacrifices, which seems to be this is part of the whole deal. Or even, may the God of peace himself sanctify you through and through, and may your entire spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless at the coming of the Lord Jesus. That's a unification of the whole.
Of the whole person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yet, you do have the kind of that locus of here's where our issues are. It's in the flesh.
Yep.
And, the thing is, though, the flesh, I think from the Pauline perspective, the flesh is not merely cravings, but it would also be ego.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So ego would be like pride of life.
Right, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good segue to John. Don't love the world nor the things that are in the world, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes,
and the pride of life.
And the pride of life.
Yeah.
I think that's the word. Gosh, I think that's kenodoxia. Now I'm just wondering what that is now. But
the Greek translation?
Yeah, as far as the Greek word that's there. But it always, to me, I thought the one who really captured it well, as far as from a modern vocalization, I guess you could say, or extrapolation of it, would be C.S. Lewis talking about sins of the spirit and sins of the flesh.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, he has a whole discussion about that. He basically says the sins of the flesh, to conquer those, it needs to be things like drunkenness and all these sort of addictions and cravings, and something involving sex or alcohol, basically sex, alcohol, drugs. To conquer those. I'd have to look up the piece in which he wrote this, but basically to conquer those is actually to feed the greater sins, potentially, of the spirit. Because now I'm so proud
Right.
So
Yep.
there's your pride of life, right? And so he said the sins of the spirit are the damning ones. Sins of the
Right.
flesh, okay. Yeah, those are going to be an issue.
Yeah.
But it was almost like, if that's all you got, it's kind of like I've been listening to Ron Chernow's biography of Grant.
Okay. Yeah.
And his drinking repeatedly comes up, and it's always a question: how much was real, and how much was just rumor? Because it seems like everyone who had the most explicit stories of him being drunk on this and that occasion were people who hated him and were vying for promotion, and so they had to put him down. And so you can't really trust what they're saying, but yet, and so that's Cherno's constant argument. It's like, oh my gosh, again? Oh my gosh, we're here again. But Lincoln looked at it and it was just like, is it interfering with what he's doing? Because, in fact, he fights. Yeah. So maybe we need to find out what it is he's drinking and send a case of it to all of our generals. So it's like, okay, but clearly Grant did have a weakness. He was aware of it.
Yep.
He had somebody on his staff, Rollins, who was his conscience, basically. And whenever he was around his wife and his kids, it wasn't an issue. Whenever typically when he was in the thick of action, wasn't an issue. It was those lulls, the siege of Vicksburg, and then the prolonged siege of Petersburg, and just any of those times where he's in a backwater and he's, and there it is.
Yep.
And he gets started, and there it goes. So that's a sin of the flesh, and that can inhibit. Obviously, that can become a huge obstacle, but the fact is, McClellan had a much more debilitating obstacle, which was his ego and pride.
Oh, interesting.
And his own agenda, which totally derailed so he's constantly fighting at odds with the agenda of the administration because he sees this war differently. Grant saw it the same.
Right.
And there was a tenacity. So this is what I'm listening to. So that's what you get. That's what you get. But that it very much highlights Lewis's discussion of the difference between sins of the spirit and sins of the flesh. Satan's great sin was pride.
Yeah,
which is what's warned for deacons. Right. Don't appoint a new believer lest he be puffed up and fall into the devil's trap. And so pride is isn't that like at the top of the list? 16th, the Lord hates you. 7 are abomination to him. A proud look. Yeah. A lying tongue. Hands that shed innocent blood. But it starts with this.
Well, and it's the third temptation, right? Like the first temptation is bread, so it's for the flesh.
Right.
The second one is jump.
Yeah.
So it's like sight unseen.
Yes.
Right. And the third one is everything I give to you.
Right.
So it's like you can have your life can be this.
Yeah. So I mean, it does make a nice parallel with. Of course, that's only using Matthew's account because Luke mixes them up.
Oh, really?
He does.
Different order?
Like, you got him out of order.
Right?
You're supposed to be the doctor.
Shucks.
Putting things in order. Luke didn't get... but we typically don't teach the temptations out of Luke. We teach them out of Matthew.
Yeah.
And so that order, that's kind of stuck. But yeah, Luke inverts them.
Oh, that's interesting.
But, okay, I'm sorry. I still have to look here. It's just... That should be... Pride of life, don't love the world, know the things that are in the world. I think I'm down a little bit too far. There we go. We know that he was crossed out of death into life. The one hating his brother. Tongue. Okay, now come on. I'm just passing over you in the Greek here. Where are you? Don't love the... Oh, is it not 3? It must be 2. Yep, it's 2. I was a chapter ahead. Me agapata, or agapata, tan cosmon, medata into cosmo. So do not love the world, nor the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, not is the love of the Father in him, because all that's in the world, in to cosmo, he epithumia, which is strong desire or passion, which can be negative or positive. Jesus said, with lust I've lusted to eat the Passover with you. It's epithumia. Yeah. Thumos is this inner passion.
Yeah.
And epithumia intensifies it. So it's the drive. And so the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes. Oh, okay, that's what it is. It's the alonexia to biu. Alonexia, as I recall, alonexia is just a loud, brash boasting. And this would be on the soapbox or on the platform or pulpit of bios. Because you have three Greek words for life: Zoe, which is the high life.
Okay.
It's eternal life. So that's life throughout John.
Interesting.
But then there's bios, which is physical existence.
Biology.
And then suke is also translated frequently life, and that's the soul.
Oh, okay.
So it just all depends.
Yeah.
So at least have those three. So this is it's a loud clanging. It's a noisy. It's making a show, or seeking to have the spotlight of life. So it's all the glitters going for it, which is ego, greed. So.
Yeah, I've always thought about that as like the things to which you hold on to.
Yeah.
When everything else is gone, right?
Yes.
Like if all the material stuff is gone, if even your health is gone,
Right.
This is the stuff that's left.
Yeah.
And I think about like for someone that Jesus might be talking to, like, or for Paul, put off the old man and you get a new one.
Yeah.
It's like you get to that, letting go of that stuff for whatever the new thing or for whatever the new person that you're going to be is going to be.
Right.
He who loves his life will lose it. Yeah. He who loses his life will find it.
Right. And that life, that's not Zoe. That should be Suke in both. It's Suke, which nefesh is the Hebrew, it's the throat. So it's physical breath, it's animation. And we of course we want to hold on to that. We just let somebody try to put a chokehold on you. I mean, it's primal.
Yeah. For sure.
So we protect the nefesh at all costs. But that should be, again, I feel like I should, especially if we got somebody listening, it's like,
no,
okay, let's get the information right here. See, where does he say? Now, Luke 16 is one of those places. He that loses, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his suke? I know that is suke.
Okay.
But anyway, that's where it's good.
Loses their soul.
Yeah.
It's like you make a deal with the devil.
Soulless,
you lose your soul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that takes me to a brother where art thou? They pick up the kid on the road, and he sold his soul.
Yeah.
To play the guitar. Mm-hmm. And he said, son, how could you sell your soul? And he said, well, wasn't using it.
Oh man. There's actually
marvelously deep, actually. So marvelously deep.
There's a blues cat. I think it's Lightning Hopkins, who, for the skill that he was able to play the guitar, the myth around him was that he actually made a deal.
Yeah. This is probably drawn from that then.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, the thing that's trippy with Dark Night of the Soul is, right now my contemplation is Colossians 3, 1 through 17.
Oh yeah, set your mind on things above. Okay, yeah.
It seems fitting on a number of levels. And plus, on Sunday morning, which I'm missing this Sunday, I forgot we're going to hell this Sunday. We're going to be in Hell's Canyon, which is so ironic. Something similar happened last year. It was so funny. I remember sending a picture to the group saying, here I am in hell. It's actually pretty good. So I'm going to do the same thing this year.
Nice.
We did it last year. We boated into the Kirkwood homestead, stayed with with my wife's older sister and her husband.
Oh, cool.
In this historic house. They're groundskeepers for the month of April.
Oh, amazing.
So this is the last weekend. So we just boat in, and we live in this this old cabin with them, which is it's just really cool. But yeah, so I won't be there on Sunday. I'm reading N.T. Wright's book, Surprised by Hope, which is actually a much better prepping for it. But I thought, okay, Colossians 3 just sounds like a good text to get into. But I mean, the way it flows, since then you've been raised with Christ.
Yeah.
And it's ta'ano zeteta, the above things seek.
Yeah.
Which is that Sermon on the Mount word, seek and you shall find. So the above things seek, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Ta'ano phreneta. So you have ta'ano zeteta, and ta'ano phreneta. The above things seek, the above things, phrein is the mind. Be minded. Set your mind.
Yeah, set your mind on.
And so the above things seek, the above things mind. Not the on the earth things, which you get that dichotomy of, okay, so I guess the earth doesn't matter then. What's on the earth doesn't make any difference. And now I'm of no earthly use because I'm so heavenly minded and so forth, which I think that's where a lot of, I think it's where a lot of the discussion at the open table may be, is how do you
I think there's the challenge. I just heard this at some point where it's like or maybe you said it at one of the other meetings where it's like, maybe we need more people who are heavenly minded for the earthly good. Like, it's not a dichotomy as much as if somebody makes their heavenly mindedness an excuse for bad things on earth, then they're missing the point.
And generally what that is, and this is what I find, it's really refreshing to go back to Surprised by Hope, because I probably read it 10 years ago, the last time. And N.T. Wright's point is that it's a false dichotomy that's fed by Plato and not by Paul or Christ, for that matter. And so if resurrection is not bodily, if in essence, if heaven is escape from corporeal existence, corporeal existence, from the material, escape from this body, this mortal coil, I finally shuck it, I'm done with it, and now I'm just a free spirit. And just there I am, just a free spirit now. That's where the divorce takes place, which is not the intent. That when we understand the true nature of the hope of the resurrection, and that's what Paul is referring to, it's not a vacancy as far as the physical plane of existence, but a more meaningful presence in the midst of it. And so what he's saying is, this is just another one of his classic setups here. The above things seek, the above things mind. You died, your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, and that's our Zoe, appears, you also will appear with him in glory. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature. Right. And then he lists off all the things we would expect: sexual immorality, impurity, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry. It's because of these very and filthy language out of your lips, and so you got all the carnal sins. What's trippy about Dark Night of the Soul is that the things he's saying had to be purged are not these carnal vices we would associate with a bar.
Right.
But they are the carnal vices that would be found in sanctuaries. And in chapels and in monastic orders. It's the sins of the spirit. It's
sloth, envy.
Right. It's pursuing all of these God things. For the most ungodly of motives. We go back to this isn't feeding me. This is so
the person that wants to do it just because they want to do it, and if they don't want to do it, then it's not a good thing.
I want that dopamine hit. I want that rush, and so that bleeds over into worship services that need to be more exciting.
Yep.
And Bible reading, how can it be more stimulating? I had a great conversation yesterday. Brent sent me a Connect card from a young woman. She had a great question, which was, let me see if I can find the exact way she put it. Reading my Bible feels like a chore, but I feel guilty when I don't read it. How can I make it a good experience? And what is the purpose of reading my Bible?
Oh, wow.
Which is, I mean, it was so good.
Start with the last one and move back up.
Right. So yeah, purpose of reading your Bible, it's like, well, I can give a little dose of the translators to the reader in 1611, King James. What do they say? What sort of piety can you have without truth? And what sort of truth, what saving truth can you have without the Word of God? And what Word of God can we confidently trust without the Scriptures? We are commanded to search the Scriptures. Those who search and study them well are commended. Those who were unskillful in them or slow to believe in them are reproved. They can make us wise to salvation. And so you just have this whole litany. And, Scripture is not only an armor, but a whole armory of weapons, both offensive and defensive, by which we save ourselves and put the enemy to flight. It is not a jar. It is not a pot of manna, nor a jar of oil, which were only for a memorial taken, but rather it is a whole shower of heavenly bread.
Yeah.
Sufficient to sustain an entire multitude, be it ever so great. And it is, as it were, a whole cellar full of vessels filled with oil, by which all our debts are paid and all our so you've got all this rich benefit.
Yeah.
But I actually read her. She's I read her. It's one of my favorite little books. It's by Thomas Merton on opening the Bible.
Yeah.
This little thing, Thomas Merton, opening the Bible.
Huh.
And I read this to people regularly, especially when they are feeling guilty because the word is just not, it's supposed to be like euphoric. And what Merton says, it is the very nature of the Bible to affront, perplex, and astonish the human mind. Hence, the reader who opens the Bible must be prepared for disorientation, confusion, incomprehension, and perhaps outrage. The Bible is, without question, one of the most unsatisfying books ever written, at least until the reader has come to terms with it in a very special way. But it's a difficult book to come to terms with. And then he goes on, so I just jump ahead. And he goes on, he says that one must not give the impression of claiming, as some popular preachers do, that you cannot seriously open the Bible without being instantly subject to various supernatural jolts, shocks, short circuits, mystical feedback, and heaven knows what else besides. Much more common reactions are boredom, mystification, a sense that one has suddenly got lost, and even the onset of sleep. Yes.
Gosh.
So this to me, this is territory for John of the Cross.
Yeah, sure.
And he quotes Bonhoeffer. That Bonhoeffer frankly admits his difficulty, even when he was facing death in prison. And such admissions are healthy. He says, I'm going through another spell of finding it difficult to read the Bible. I never know quite what to make of it. I don't feel guilty at all about it, and I know it won't be long before I return to it again with renewed zest. Is it just a psychological process? I am almost inclined to think so. True, there's always a danger of indolence, but it would be wrong to get fussed about it. Far better to trust that after wobbling a bit, the compass will come to rest in the right direction. So, to me, it's like, it's just not exciting right now. Well, it's not always going to be exciting.
Right.
I've got a green smoothie in my car that it's not exciting. It's not exciting. Unfortunately, now she's been like on a cheerleading squad, and so I said I was looking for like practice, cheerleading practice.
Yeah.
Was that always fun? She said yes. I said, okay, you're not helping me.
Wow.
You know, she said, "Oh, it was so fun because I was the one who was always thrown. I was the flyer.
Yep.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It might have been a lot of work for them, but I was just getting up there, and I just So it's like, okay, you're not helping me at all.
That doesn't work.
Just not helping.
Well, I wonder how much of the back and forth is trying to reconcile like the reliance on dopamine.
I think so.
Or the reliance on like a particular experience rather than like what C.S. Lewis would describe as the approach.
Yeah.
Right? Getting closer to someone, which sometimes is like super fun and inspiring, and you have like, you know, bubbles and fancy feelings. And sometimes it's just like going to the supermarket and like just spending ordinary time with someone, which doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
But is still necessary for the approach.
Exactly. What I find interesting is there's another intersection that I think is profitable, and it totally makes sense. Because you have St. John of the Cross and his association with Teresa of Avila. Mm-hmm. Teresa of Avila is the one who really launches the Carmelites. Right?
Yep.
The discouseled, the unshoed ones, right? And that is where Brother Lawrence.
Oh, wow.
Now, and what is Brother Lawrence's thing? Brother Lawrence's thing is, I'm a great awkward fellow who breaks things. I don't want to be a part of your order. I really don't.
Wow.
You know, because the fact is, I get more of God in the midst of the clatter of the kitchen than I do at all of the devotions at the altars. Yeah. And it's like, this totally makes sense. Yeah. John and Teresa were very much like of one spirit. Yeah. And I think that permeated that whole movement. and there's Brother Lawrence coming into it, and
that's super interesting.
You know, he's the doorkeeper, and when he could no longer be the doorkeeper, I mean, they tried to have him go and procure barrels of wine for the monastery. It just turned into a colossal failure because I'm just a great awkward fellow who breaks things, and it was okay. Don't give him that responsibility. Right. Keep the door. Wash the dishes. You know. And, wow. But that's the whole thing of practicing the presence. Yeah. It's learning how to lean in. So what I did was this week just reflecting on all this. Yeah. Because I'm seeing Colossians, put to death therefore your members which are upon this earth. Right. And again, for me, that's always been this dichotomization of the more sensational sins of the flesh for which we fire pastors.
Interesting. Okay.
As opposed to the sins of the spirit for which we'll actually give them a raise.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I mean, in the performing arts, you'd figure the same thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the same thing in business. Yeah. Goodness, I mean, not to get too political, but.
Well, yeah, but I think there's also like pride is often seen as confidence, and in a world that is in turmoil, the folks who lack confidence are often attracted to the folks who project it.
Exactly.
Whether it's rooted in something or not.
Exactly.
Like, you don't really know because you can't know the person if they're hundreds of miles away. And I think that's mirrored in the idea of celebrity or, any of the things that make somebody look more than what they actually are.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, that's kind of what, So, I mean, I just made a list. I mean, the 7 beginner obstacles is.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's really what he's talking about here. 7 beginner obstacles. And ironically, beginner can mean anybody who just has not advanced.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's not a newbie necessarily.
Right.
What we would call a babe in Christ. which can have unfortunate connotations in the wider culture. But it's not just a newbie fresh out of the waters of baptism, but it's just someone
No, somebody
who's
who's
never grown
working
up.
through. Yeah.
Yeah. But pride, greed, spiritual lust, anger, spiritual gluttony, sloth, and envy.
Yep.
Those are the seven
the ones.
that he cycles through.
Yeah.
And so, it's like we get the first, the first batch of them in chapters 1 through 3, and the second batch in chapters 4 through 7.
Yeah.
And so, they're the beginner obstacles. If we don't advance beyond these, then whatever practices we're engaging in are going to ultimately be counterproductive when all is said and done. It's not.
Well, they'll show these up.
Exactly.
Right? This is what's going to come out because they'll ultimately magnify whatever it is that's working in you.
What this made me think of, and you can just cut me off at any time.
No, we're good.
This made me think, I'm thinking of Colossians, where again it's carnal sins, but then it's like, but that's not really our analogy here, because these aren't carnal sins, these are spiritual sins that John is talking about. It's the sins of the spirit that inhibit us in our embracing of spiritual practices. And so I'm practicing fasting.
He calls them sins of the flesh.
He does.
Right?
I'm just following.
Yeah, but which is interesting
Lewis's
because it's
but they are sins of the flesh, aren't they? It's flesh masquerading as spirit.
They're the thing. So, which takes me back to Willard's parts of the person.
Yeah.
Where the spirit's at the center, the mind is the second circle out.
Yes.
The body is the third circle out. Social relationships, and then the soul kind of wraps the whole thing. And you can't get a dichotomy out of that model. Right. So
it's all integrated.
It's all integrated. So if physically the body's organized towards sloth, it's going to feed back to the spirit and to the mind. And then if the spirit shifts, you're going to have to deal with the disorganization of the body now, right? So I think it's interesting to see like what St. John talks about like overlaps on that model. And because one thing, I just had a conversation with my director, Tony Asbeck, today, and one thing that we were talking about for this project specifically is that the idea that we're presenting is that the dark night of the soul happens for everybody.
Yeah.
Like whether they have a conception of reality that aligns with what Jesus proposes or not.
Right.
And so what does a frame to go through the dark night or to understand the dark night or to like encounter it in a way without being like vested in a particular reality beforehand?
Right.
What does that even look like?
Yes.
Because the purgation of the senses is not going to be something on your mind necessarily.
Correct.
But you're going to experience something that requires of you the same thing for whom the same thing as someone who has been vested and then enters in. And I think that to me is something that I'm still trying to kind of work out, and I'm wondering how the next couple chapters will kind of parse that out, because I think that the idea of an integrated person, like a whole person, that goes through something like this and then is required to, in the midst of darkness, like have a vision for what is real and hold to that. Seems like that, at least that's the thing that I'm kind of scratching on, because that means everything else, you can't lean on anything else. Right. And if sloth is there or envy is there, like all that stuff has to go away for this to work.
Yes.
And to whatever degree that does, that's kind of you working it out.
Yeah.
But that's been kind of what's been floating
Yes.
around most recently.
Well, for me, the other passage that came front and center in front of me, which kind of contrasted with the put off this and then put off the old self with its practices and put on the new self, which is being renewed in experiential knowledge in the image of its creator. So this, put off, put on. This was, this isn't exactly that dynamic. This is kind of like, well, it's 1 Corinthians 3, where Paul's talking about the analogies. A couple of analogies for the body. One is you are God's cultivated field. I planted, Apollos watered, God gives the increase. Right? And the other one, you are God's building. Right. I laid the foundation, someone else is building on it. Yep. And that's where he then says, if anyone builds upon the foundation, of course he says, no other foundation can be laid than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. Right. That's another whole question in itself. Well, spiritual practices, what are they built upon? Is it the foundation of the kingdom of Mike? Yeah, sure. Of my reputation, of my church, of my ministry? Because that's going to be an issue. But if anyone builds upon the foundation, and that's where you have this list: gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, and stubble. The work of each one shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because in fire it shall be revealed, and of each the work of what sort it is, the fire it shall prove, or test. Yeah. If of anyone, I'm just doing a literal translation of the Greek here. If of anyone the work abides, that's a great Johannine word. Yeah. No, I abide, right? If any the work abides, that which he built, then a reward he shall receive. It's like a wage. Yeah, misthos is a wage in Greek. So he's going to receive remains a reward, through the fire. He gets payment. Yeah, there's payback for it. Yeah. But if of anyone the work is consumed, then he shall suffer loss, but he shall be saved, and thus as through fire. Mm-hmm. And this kind of struck me kind of in the John of the Cross vein of thought, because we're engaging in spiritual activities, and the gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, and stubble. The hay and stubble, to me, would be the flesh. Oh, interesting. The works of the flesh, right? I mean, that's where it's fleshy motives, the spiritual pride, the spiritual gluttony. There's anger, there's greed. It's all just clothed in religious robes and sanctified for religious purposes, but it's still there. It's just operating in a different realm. But yet it's the same beast still. And it'd be nice to have a dialogue with Paul and see, is that kind of what you're meaning exactly? Well, I wonder, so St. John of the Cross talks about the dark night as a passive night. Yes. Yes. Right? Yes. And fire being something that not, we can't do fire. Fire burns us. Right? It does something to us. The Darwin Awards each year have right. Who do fire. I'm sure. Never ends well. Yes, you're right. Yeah, passive. Yes. But I think there's something key there as well, where the idea of a spiritual practice also kind of goes away in the dark night, because it's almost like the only thing that you can do is choose to continue in the situation that you're in. Yeah. And not try to remake it in the likeness of what you had before. Yeah. Which is practically impossible, but still we try. Right. And so, what
what does it like? What does it like? What is it like to entrust yourself to a situation, and willfully endure it for the sake of something that you don't know is gonna happen?
Yeah.
Had a conversation about the idea of hope. Like, is it like, does hope have teeth, or is just the idea that something new that you haven't experienced yet but is possible?
Yeah.
Does that have more teeth? Because something like that is happening in the Dark Knight. Like, the formation of that is happening in the Dark Knight. Either the belief that something new is possible, or the hope that the sun rises, or like, because when you're in the midst of darkness, I think it's something like the trust that the sun is going to rise in the morning doesn't work anymore. It's like, just wait, you'll be fine. You're like, no,
Yeah.
you don't understand.
Sun is coming.
Right? And those kinds of things. I'm reading Orwell's essays, his critical essays, and the introduction. The book is called "All Art is Propaganda," which is an interesting title. And the introduction says something like, if you're going to read Orwell, or Orwell's language, his use of language, basically gets rid of all cliches. And I feel like, like, sun's gonna rise tomorrow feels is like one of those things. Or you can trust in the new day. And I mean, it almost drills down to God's mercies renew every morning. And how do we, in a culture that might not have a relationship with mercy or hope or trust, in a person that is merciful, trustworthy, or also a reason to hope, like, those cliches land flat.
Yeah.
And so what is it really the necessary formation of those qualities that happen in the Dark Knight? Even because I would suspect people have multiple nights.
Right. Oh, right? Yeah.
And then maybe the first one is something like, you're going to need this later.
Uh-huh.
And so this is the one that gets you thinking in that way.
I'm really curious to see where he goes specifically with the Dark Knight, because that's going to help really define the terms. But the feeling I'm getting from this, and even because I just added the next set of stanzas to the contemplation. And so we have, on a dark night inflamed by yearning, oh, exquisite risk, undetected. Okay, undetected I slip away, my house at last grown still. Secure in the darkness, I climb the secret ladder. Okay, I climb the secret ladder in disguise. So, all right, there's some adjectives that are starting to line up here. Okay, we have undetected, slip away, secure in the darkness, secret ladder in disguise, and once again, oh, exquisite risk. And then concealed by the darkness, my house at last grown still. And it's like, this to me, it sounds like we are in Matthew 6 territory.
Oh, yeah.
Don't
let your right hand
know
what your
exactly.
left hand is doing. Yeah.
In secret. In secret. Your Father sees in secret. Will reward you openly. And so the gold is going to be in secret. And it's not because you're going for the gold.
No.
It's just you find the gold. Think of what you just said. I keep coming back to the whole passive thing. Because we make our spiritual journey so active.
Yeah.
It's all about us, and that's the American spirit. We have a will to win, and we're going to take it to it, and we're going to master this, and we'll take drugs to amplify our performance just to make sure we get there as far as like muscles and steroids, and because we're just so geared. We're going to create the effect if that's what it takes. But his mercies are new every morning. He does not say, I make his mercies new every morning.
Right.
They just are experientially.
Yeah.
And you start thinking, David's saying, truly, O Lord, the boundary lines have fallen to me in pleasant places. And this is a king.
Yeah.
I think he can pretty much do whatever he wants with a whole lot of boundary lines.
Yeah.
But no, the boundary lines have fallen to me in pleasant places. And so there's this divine passivity that seems to be breathing through this. And then also it's just this concealment. Secret ladder in disguise, slipping away, undetected. And so, not letting your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Praying to your Father, going to your closet, close the door, pray to your Father who is in secret. When you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face so nobody, so don't disfigure your faces so others can figure out that you're fasting. Right. Just let it be this little secret thing you've got with your Father. It's a secret.
Well, and Colossians, your life is not hidden.
Your life is hidden. There you go. Wow, same thing. So it's so counterintuitive, and yet it's right there. I mean, it's
well,
just,
I think it's counterintuitive to a performative life.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it's.
I'm confessing my sins here, I guess.
Right. No,
dang it! I want to be noticed, Andrew.
And you're talking to a performance artist, man.
We're not really a performance artist.
If we're not on the stage, what are we doing?
I'm not on the stage anymore, Andrew. Somebody needs to notice. Somebody needs to trumpet what I do.
But I think there's also a reality there that in a life where you are seen, which some people feel unseen, but in a life where you're seen or you're conscious of being seen, you can trend towards the performative.
Yes.
Right? And then you're locked into the lust of the eyes, seeing what other people see.
Exactly.
Right. And I think there's a lot of truth to the reality of one's person being encountered outside of that context. Right. So if we go into solitude, then we're interrupting the way we manage our image with all the relationships around us.
Yes.
And we have to deal with ourselves, and that's very challenging for a lot of people. It can be very challenging for, I think, everybody, depending on the degree that they're used to it.
Right.
But I think that the hidden nature of things cuts two ways for me. One is when I first got to that passage in Colossians, in the middle of my dark night, I was listening to Willard, and he said, you're not supposed to know everything about your life. And I said,
wow.
Oh, well, that's freeing.
It is very
Thank you.
freeing. Wow.
Right? It's because part of your life is hid with
Christ and God.
And when Christ appears, you too shall appear. The fullness of who you are shall too appear. And so we're not necessarily on a journey to get it all figured out.
Yes.
Because on the plus side of things, some of it is hidden.
Yes. Yes. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm thinking of Willard's person. Thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you have Paul saying that no one knows the things of a man except the spirit of the man that's in him. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And which lines up with the proverb that says it's like the spirit in us, our spirit is kind of like the lamp of the Lord searching our inmost parts, right? And it's like, okay, so how do I tap into that? It's like that's like Jacob's well, which was deep. And it's like, I don't think I have a bucket deep enough. So I'm thinking spatially of Willard's diagram. So you've got the spirit down here at the core. Yeah. That's like traveling through all the layers of earth to that hot mantle, or core rather, through the mantle to the core. Yeah. And it's like, how do you get there? And that's the whole thing. That is extremely comforting. The fact that I have a spirit that knows exactly what's going on. Sometimes that erupts on the surface, and it's like, ooh, look at you. And that's why I don't have to be afraid of it. I don't have to be afraid what dwells beneath.
Right.
Because, that's roomy. Each day, oh gosh, how does that go? His poem, I probably can find it real quick. But yeah, this human life is a guest house. Let me do a quick search here.
Well, and I think
each day a new adventure. Yeah, but anyway,
each day a new adventure.
Yeah, this being human is a guest house.
Yeah,
every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows that violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still. Treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Now, I always wonder, okay, that's a really cool English translation. How does that read in the Farsi?
You're right. But I think
that catches it. Wow.
The relationship of love that is proposed in Christ facilitates that.
Yes, totally.
Because I don't think I would be able to bear like a real vision of the activities of my internal spirit without knowing that I am cared for and loved from beyond.
In fact, would we not fall over dead just like we would fully exposed to divine reality?
Yeah.
Just like fully exposed in an instant to our own inner reality. I think we're just toast. Yeah. We're just dead. So. We can't handle it.
Or we would run away.
Yeah.
We would go back to hiding.
Totally.
Right? Hiding ourselves as opposed to being hid.
So it's, wow. I've been reading, kind of as an accompaniment to this, because for me this is kind of like becoming a unit study.
Yeah, sure.
And so Barbara Rand Taylor's book, Learning to Walk in the Dark.
Okay.
She talks about full solar spirituality, and lunar spirituality.
Oh, interesting.
And so I've just started keeping notes here. I just have a dark night of the soul note, and so that's where I'm just starting to put stuff down. But full solar spirituality, absorbing and reflecting the sunny side of faith. You can usually recognize a full solar church by its emphasis on the benefits of faith, which include a sure sense of God's presence, certainty of belief, divine guidance in all things, and reliable answers to prayer. The trouble starts when the darkness falls in your life. We are saddled with a darkness disability. And so lunar spirituality is when the divine light available to me waxes and wanes with the season. What would my life look like if I trusted his rhythm instead of opposing it? Yeah, it's like the full solar spirituality. It's like, we just want the tanning beds.
Yeah, that's like distorted positive thinking.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah, which goes to prosperity gospel, the whole thing in our culture. Everything is happy.
And that goes all the way back to God blesses you if you're rich, and you're not if you're poor. Yeah, which you're right back in Matthew 5.
Yeah.
Right, in terms of trying to reframe that to say the material prosperity is not the measure by which you measure God's love for you or how he sees you.
Correct.
It might be a measure of your ability to navigate particular ways in the world.
Totally.
But and it might be a measure of like what you've been given to steward. But it's not a measure of your quote unquote blessedness in relationship to God. And I think that trying to carve that line is really, really hard.
Yes.
Because it's very easy to see somebody having a quote unquote good life or your vision of a good life and say, well, you're blessed. Meanwhile, underneath that, who knows what's going on with the person? And vice versa. You look at somebody who's poor or having what we would look at as a hard life and say, your life must be really hard or you must not be blessed. And you're like, well, talk to the person a little bit and they might have a completely different idea. And that's not to say that being poor is a good thing.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Or being rich is a bad thing.
Yes.
It's like those ideas, like the kind of the way that we try and more easily reconcile it is like, be poor so that you can be blessed, and don't be rich so that you can't, have a hard life or can't have a woe. You're like, I think it just wipes it clean. Yeah. Which, if you think about the Dark Knight, it's almost like a clean slate.
Yes, it is.
It's like, get everything out of the way so that you can, this other kind of formation can start. That's interesting.
Yeah. We're already out of time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was an hour.
Sheesh.
Oh, amazing.
Dark Knight Podcast is a production of the Nemr Institute. Our theme music is Principle of Loving by Sam Adams. Please subscribe to the podcast and go to darknightlive.com for more details and to follow Andrew's journey. Thank you for listening.